Good evening and welcome to November Foxtrot, the show that brings you all the exciting news before the tariffs go up. Later this evening, we'll find out how that goes. You're right, Lance?
I'm all right, mate. Sorry. Yeah, no, my things have gone absolute gaga again. But I am here.
Your camera's gone as well completely now.
Oh, all I did was turn a light off. That's all I did. Right,
hi, Kenny. Hi, Carl. Hi, Blackbeard. Welcome to the show. Unfortunately, we've had a interesting schedule dilemma this week. So originally, we were going to have Defiant on, but it turned out that I double booked, and then we were going to have, because basically we had a slight scheduling contrast or challenge, and basically we had also double booked with the Chief, AC. Is it ACO1, Lance?
Yes.
ACO1. So we've rescheduled Defiant to next week. We had ACO1, the Chief, on this week, but unfortunately, due to some other commitments, he's had to duck out last minute. So we have swiveled. We've done a quick pivot, and we're now going to do a Q&A this week. Pivot. So we're going to do a Q&A this week. So basically, if you have any questions, throw them at us. Whack a Q at the beginning of the chat. I'm sure, no doubt, we will go into some random, spurious curiosities throughout the show. We're not joined by Andy this week. He's unfortunately still on his way back from a job. So we hope that he gets back nice and safely. He may join us later on when he gets home. However, I highly anticipate he's probably going to get in and have a nap. So we shall love him and let him rest. Lance, you're looking very tanned.
I am, Michael. Thank you for asking. Kind regards. I've been outside all this week.
You have.
In the blazing sun.
That's what happens when you do night shifts normally. You come out, you're like, my word, there's sunlight out here.
The sun burns me. That's good.
We're joined this evening by Les, Pegasus, Phil Dunn, and Daniel. Good evening.
Lads. What's cracking,
so did we apply sun cream?
No, unfortunately, the firm that I was contracting to had a very, very poor PPE.
Hurtful.
No, not at all. Do you know what? No, I didn't, because I thought we very rarely get sun in the UK, so I'm going to take full advantage of all the things that it can do to me.
Yeah, and this was that's only 6 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. Literally looking out the window of the van, and I was like, "Oh, it's got me already, bastard." But no, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's really good fun. Something new, something I've never seen before.
Whilst the show is obviously not in any way sponsored, I will do a cheeky advert because it is, potentially if we can build this business up, worthwhile to a lot of people now that are involved in airsoft and the like. So if you need a CCTV survey and you're based in kind of the southeast region of Kent, in the southeast region of the UK, be that sort of drain unblocking, jetting, CCTV. Anything like that, give us a shout. It's superflow.co.uk. And it's a business that, FLO. So, I'll tell you what, I'll just put a little banner up for it. It'll be easier.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes with the banner.
If you're interested, then, www.superflow.co.uk. You could also follow us on all of our socials as well if you're interested, but I'm not going to bore you with those. But yeah, check us out. That's what we do. CCTV surveys on drainage.
There we go. It's very, very an eye-opener. I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Well, it is interesting. The only reason I do mention it specifically is because there are so many different people involved in Airsoft and MilSim that are in all these different fields, and we don't always talk about our works. Because ultimately, we're there to have fun. We don't want to be sitting there chatting the boring day job stuff. And it's only the other day I found somebody that was a quantity surveyor just by chatting to them, and it's interesting. You kind of build up this network of people.
Absolutely. Likewise for me, if anyone's got any new railway signalling contracts starting that they need staffing for, please hit me up.
Network Rail, if you're listening.
Don't know about that. Good
Phil
stuff.
says, question, when does the new scheduler start? So, funnily enough, the scheduling...
We scheduled a meeting about that.
Yeah, we have scheduled a meeting, but unfortunately it clashed with something else. So, yeah. Boys, says Les. What's happened to doing the news and new kit?
Can
You
I just
don't
say,
do it anymore. I liked that bit.
That was very boys of you then.
It's like your Kamui chair. Kamui!
Ah, don't start.
So, Les, the reason that we have actually had a long debate about this. So the news part of the show, we still have it. I can bring up the news banner whenever we like.
Oh,
but ultimately...
I need to get ready then.
No, don't worry.
I haven't got a green screen anymore, I can't. Fuck!
But ultimately, we were finding that the news section was more just about things that we bought, which, first off, genuinely, I felt a bit of a pressure to have to buy things, which was a challenge.
Hang on.
But it's a case of it wasn't really news. So we're kind of reserving the news section for actual news. And then kind of any new purchases or anything like that, we will talk about as and when. So, yeah.
Hit myself in the face.
Oh, Phil says there's some signals needing work on our network, Lance.
Oh, I don't know about the spiders though, mate. It's the spiders, bud. It's not even the trek. It's the fucking spiders. opening one of your load cases out on track, and I just see one of those things staring at me. That's like in there with a 20-kilo dumbbell. Like, yep, about to bite you. I'm like, nah, mate, sorry.
Do you know what I found out earlier? That the male spider sex organs are apparently in the front of their.
That's handy.
In the front of the spiders, not in the back.
Why would they be at the back of the spider?
Because spiders have their head at the front. So if you stood a spider up on end, the spider's head would be up. Yeah. So you'd anticipate the spiders.
Oh right. I mean, you mean at the bottom?
To be at the bottom.
Yeah. When you said at the back.
If you were to. Yeah, but all right. So if I was on all fours, my sex organs would be at the back of me, would they not?
They're sort of hanging in between the back of you, loosely, flaccid like.
Ben Stiller. We've got someone called Ben Stiller. Hello, Ben. Why do you guys have so much aura and swagger? I'm on your YouTube domain. Canada has entered England, homie. P.S. That wasn't meant to sound sexual. That's a very confusing message. But thank you, Ben Stiller.
Canada has entered England, homie. Well, Ben, brilliant. Love Canada. Love a bit of Canada. Love the Canadons. Don't we? Especially the ones from Washington, mate.
Good old Canada.
Broken Parts Service has got a lol. I take my above comment out considering this conversation. Can Broken Parts Squad get a shout out? yeah. Right after we finish talking about spider cocks, we'll be right on that shout out.
No, Broken Parts Squad. If you are not aware of Broken Parts Airsoft Squad, we will hopefully be getting them on the show.
Absolutely.
Very soon.
Yes.
But go and check them out on Facebook.
Because I believe I met, by chance, one of their founders at Driverwood many moons ago at a jumble sale, and they had one of their awesome all-terrain battle wagons. Single-seater, of course, but I was very jealous. Very jealous. Yeah. I did want to ask if I could have a go, but I thought it might be rude. It
was led you to go and buy a motorbike, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I know, but it's just, I can't really... I'd last about 10 seconds on that in the woods. Whereas I think one of the Broken Airsoft battle wagons is far more fitting for the environment, and you can bristle it with weapons and explosives, which is brilliant.
Yeah. Broken Parts Airsoft Squad. It took a turn there. I'm still listening though. Thank you.
Bear with.
Will asks, "Where's the guest?" So,
Will, where were you at the start? Will, come on.
Yeah, at the start of the show, we basically had a slight scheduling issue. We were going to have Defiant on, and we also were going to have ACO1, the Chief, on, because we managed to schedule them both at the same time. Defiant very graciously said that they'd defer to next week, so we still have those guys, Kev and James, planned for next week. ACO1, the Chief, was going to be on tonight, but unfortunately, due to some last-minute changes, he's been unable to attend. So that's why we've pivoted to a Q&A.
He was very apologetic, and he's hoped to come back on very, very soon, or come on very, very soon. So, watch this space. Yes.
So, I have a question that I want to address, which is earlier in the week, we have a WhatsApp chat a community WhatsApp chat. So if you aren't on the community WhatsApp chat and you would like to be, then please drop us a message or using the contact details at the end of the show, and we can get you added. But there was a question on there, or a statement raised, which is, obviously we've not been able to attend a lot of MilSim events recently. And someone made the comment of, well, we basically operate as we'll tell you what to take to a MilSim event when you go to one, which I'd like to I took umbrage a little bit with, because firstly, it's effectively a pundit-based show. We've obviously got a reasonable amount of experience in Airsoft and MilSim, and I certainly wouldn't say that we're experts. I think that's proven on a weekly basis that we're definitely not experts. We're always learning as much as we can, and there will be things that we don't know the answers to that we find out about, and we go and research and look up as well. So, but how is it that there's always a challenge now as you get older? There's more and more life commitments, and it becomes harder, I think, to get to events. It's harder to find the right events that don't clash with things that you've already got in your calendar. If you've got kids, that's obviously a challenge. And it was more just a general sweeping question as to how do different people deal with it. And I'm very, very much keen to kind of hear from the audience that we've got, the virtual audience, just how do you deal with planning and kind of managing your airsoft time? Because for me, I try to restrict myself to kind of one event a month. That balances quite nicely with my wife's expectations, and being able to have enough time at weekends to do all the rest of the things like housework and obviously spending time with my family, which is what I want to do. Meeting up with friends and stuff like that. It gives that balance. But I'm keen to hear how other people do it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Lance, I know obviously you've taken kind of you haven't been to a few events recently just because of work commitments and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble, just cards on the table. So the railway industry at the minute is, it's the worst I've ever seen. And I've been on the railway for 23 years. And it's the quietest I've ever known it in their 23 years. Hopefully, touch wood, it picks up. But it's definitely quiet. And obviously, an awful lot of work is done on the railway at night time. It's done at weekends. So, as and when I can secure contracts, I have to do them because there isn't a great deal going on during the week. So, unfortunately, a lot of my weekends are swallowed up with either working or a family thing might be going on. But 9 times out of 10, it's a work commitment. And that's what I've got to bear in mind. So as much as I would love to get to a lot of these events that are advertised and that, I have to be realistic, and attending a MilSim doesn't pay my mortgage as much as I'd love it to. It doesn't. So I've got to be realistic, and unfortunately, that has to go on the back burner for the short time. Hopefully, I do want to get to some events. I'm going to be going to Shift Your Riffs for the social side of things and that, because I missed last year's unfortunately because I was storming beaches in the Isle of Wight.
The Isle of Wight.
Which was great. I love that little montage that Andy put together with me. It was so great. River taxi, and it's got a drop front to it, and you can run onto the beach. And I was like, I can't resist this. Ah! Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, I sort of did a MilSim type thing whilst I was in the Isle of Wight. Ad lib.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd love to get some more events this year. I'm going to do Shift Your Riffs. I would like to get to a proper Bergen on the back MilSim at some point this year. I'd like to do that. I'd done a great Tommy sleep out the other weekend, so I sort of count that as a bit of getting out under the canvas, under the canopy for a night, which was good. But it's tough. It's really hard. It's difficult. I get very jealous of people going, "I'll book that event. I'm going on that event. I'm going on that event." I'm just like, fucking hell, man. Oh, share the love. Come on.
Yeah, I think the other aspect to it literally does just boil down to the fact that you've got say. I mean, I don't know how exactly you do it, but for me, I've got one event a month. So I'd for
a married man with kids or a married woman with children, I think that's a realistic thing to suggest. Unless both partners are both mad on airsoft and you've got really understanding grandparents that can have the children. I think one event a month.
Or your children are old enough to come with you, which
your kids are old enough and they're all. If
it's
a family mad on airsoft, then you've landed on your feet. Then happy days, But yeah, I'd say one event a month is realistic. It's not that I don't enjoy skirmish days. I don't enjoy the Sunday skirmish sort of setup. I don't get anything out of it. I'm not saying it's crap or it's awful, it's horrible. But for me personally, I don't enjoy the little hour games and then come back and then go back out again, this, that, and the other. You know, battle sims are a bit different because it's like a 1 day sort of drawn out affair. I like getting to a site on a Friday evening and then infilling Under Darkness and getting set up and going through the shit a little bit until Sunday. That's what I like to do. You know, that's just me. So when they're not few and far between, but those events are rarer than others. So I like to sort of hold myself back for those specific events. You know, I love my woodland events. I prefer, if I had to choose over urban, I'd choose woodland. That's why I like Longmoor. Longmoor's quite a good mix. You know, there's obviously it's a big urban sprawl there, but there is some wood block and stuff going on. But yeah, I do predominantly like my woodland sort of stuff. So yeah, waiting for those events to come up is like I said, it's few and far between. But I will be getting to more events. I will be. I've got my kits there. All the kits there, ready to go. Just at the end of the bar area, beneath the dartboard.
But it's a clash. It's a clash with scheduling, basically. I mean, I know we obviously started the show talking about a clash of scheduling, but you know, you've got.
I don't know even know if I'd say it's
birthdays.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's a clash of scheduling, mate. It's just stuff gets in the way.
Finding a free weekend, innit? You go, I've got this free weekend, I can go to an event. And then there's no events. That's the challenge. Or you've got a really good event that you want to go to, and then it's like, oh yeah, can I go to that? Well, you can, but I've just booked so and so to go and do this or whatever. It's like, right, okay. So,
and that's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
there's been a lot of balance. Yes, I think Ben Stiller's a bot. We'll ignore Ben Stiller from going forward. There's a lot of balance in the chat in terms of various thoughts. So, Will, I think it's like anything in life with hobbies, etc. Just make a plan for certain weekends. I do the event I want, but obviously can't do it all. It is a balancing act.
Absolutely, mate.
Will says, 1 weekend with family doing something equals 1 weekend softing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. James says, I don't manage, I just cope. But he says, in all fairness, I don't have children and I have a very understanding wife that knows I'd go mad if I didn't do this shit. Most of my weekends are MilSim based between prep, planning and management. I mean, ultimately, James, I guess it is slightly different for you because, and I appreciate it doesn't necessarily make you tons of money. It's not like your obviously go-to thing, but obviously you are running that as a business as well. So I guess that you've got a lot of investment that you have to do because obviously you're putting on events for people. You can't just rock up on the day and go, cool, I'll just, it'll be all right on the night type thing. You obviously have to put the time and the effort in to spend doing that. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to you. Like, that's a challenge. Gilly Nanu, I'm grateful that my mum likes to look after my daughter now and then when going to events or weekends, but I also like to get it planned in advance and tell people that I want to do this if possible. That's another thing. So there are two groups of people in this world. There are the people that organise stuff fucking a year in advance, and then there are people that are like, oh yeah, do you want to do this next weekend? You're like, no, I can't, because I've planned my year in advance. I am one of those year in advance people.
I'd love to, but no.
Yeah. And I really like going, like, beginning of the year, cool, right, I'm going to be doing this, and this. Space that out. That's in the calendar, right? Everything else now has to revolve around that.
Yeah.
But like Mother's Day this last weekend, I had Mother's Day planned, but then Saturday, my wife was like, oh, I don't know what we're doing on the Saturday. And that's been the stock answer for the last 3 months. And I'm like, well, you've got to decide soon because otherwise I really need to know.
Things need to be planned.
Yeah. Right, there's another question that came in. So this one is, well, it's not really a question, but this is a good point that I feel we need to mention. So Les says, can we remember Ollie Does Airsoft, please?
Yes, absolutely.
RIP Ollie. And yeah. So for those who don't know, Ollie Does Airsoft lost his battle with cancer. I think it was earlier this week or late last week.
It's a couple of weeks.
It was within the last week, basically. Yeah. It's terribly sad news. I don't know Ollie personally. I've seen a number of his videos, and sort of just reading some of the comments and that people have kind of thrown in of how he has helped them through Airsoft and sort of doing various bits and pieces with him. And yeah, he just sounds like a really lovely guy.
Yep. And he was an MWS madman as well. So
yes, yeah. I'm not going to play the tune for that because I don't feel it's appropriate. But yeah. So, Yeah, R.I.P. Ollie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Daniel asks, right, question, best MilSim you have ever attended and why?
Ooh, I've got two, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do quickly, mate. I don't know if it's my internet or yours, but I'm just going to quickly leave and come back in because it seems to be a bit glitchy.
Okay.
It'll literally be 2 seconds and I'll be back.
That's fine. I'll talk about mine then, I guess, because otherwise I'm just going to be sitting here awkwardly. I'm very large all of a sudden. I don't like this. Let's make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So for me, it's there's been an awful lot of really good events. I'm going to go along the lines. Oh, here's literally 2 seconds. Perfect.
Hello.
So I've got a number of good events, and I'm going to quickly kind of go through my top three, just because I feel that, like, if I just name the one, it feels like I'm discounting an awful lot of really good stuff that I've done in the past.
It better not be one of my ones. You do one, then I say one, because otherwise you'll nick all the good ones.
No, that's fine. So my top three was.
So number one. Let's start from number three. So number
three was the Legion Airsoft event at Ripe Village down in Lyd. So this was an event I actually rocked up to on my Todd. Never met anyone in my team at all. I was on the team with Random Trashy. So if you ever remember Random Trashy, it was Tim from Random Trashy that eventually turned into the Heresy group.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So Tim was on my team. I knew a little bit about Tim. I'd sort of spoken to him a few times, but literally the rest of my guys on my team I'd never met. Threw myself in at the deep end. I was like, fuck it, I want to do this MilSim. The normal people that I went with to events weren't able to go. So I was like, nah, you know what, fuck it. I want that experience. I'm going to go do it. And literally threw myself in the deep end, made some, I wouldn't say long-term friends, but, made some friends within the team, and we got to have a decent day out of it. There was a massive riot, which was the first time I've ever seen a riot done in Airsoft, where Legion had bought these red foam bricks. So we're all standing there in a line, literally defending the street. The QRF team came flying through us on their Hiluxes down to try and pick some guys up on the other side of the riot. So the rioters passed, let the trucks through, and then the riot kicked off. So the Hilux came through again, and then the rioters are all like screaming and stuff, and we're trying to hold them back. Then they start lobbing bricks, and we're like, oh fuck, they're actually throwing bricks at us because you've never seen these things before. These big foam blocks, they were so brick-like, and if you didn't know this was coming, your visual is just there are people throwing red rectangles at me. Like, this is very very reticent of bricks. And then the grenades started coming, and all hell let loose, and literally the rioters managed to wipe out sort of maybe 30 of NATO, sort of all standing there. We were the secondary line, so we had to come forward and reinforce that primary line while the medics came in and healed up all the guys. And there's a cracking photo on my Instagram of just loads of people just standing there around. I'm sort of just trying to provide security for the medics that are kind of rushing in to help them. So that's number three. Number two is the Defiant event where I was the cartel. Not me on my own being the cartel, but I was captured as a cartel member, and I basically was arrested and put in prison, and I annoyed the fuck out of the police for sort of 3 or 4 hours.
Is this when you were half naked?
I wasn't half naked. I just took my shirt off at one point. That was all.
Well, that's half naked, surely.
It's not half naked. It's just no. But I had a hound.
How could it be not half naked? What construes as being half naked then in your world?
I can't remember what the ploy was, but it was something to do. Basically, I was just being an unruly prisoner.
And rightly so.
But it was just so much fun. It really was. As James said, I tried to go with a baseball cap and some dark shades, and I ended up just looking like Honey G. So that was a lesson I had to learn quite quickly.
Was it as good as me and you role-playing oddballs in the village at Alpha at the Octo event when you were dingling your bell?
Well, funnily enough, that's probably number 4 on my list because that was so much fun. But yeah,
that was very peculiar.
Pretty much that. But like, obviously, we were being complete pains in the arses at the Octo event, but I was on a whole nother level at the Defiant event. They had silly string to replicate tear gas and sort of like riot spray or whatever. And I got a silly string so much it was just ridiculous. But it was a really cracking event. Really loved it. But my number one event was so fun. It's a company that most people probably haven't really heard of in the UK. So it's called Battle Station Activity Centre, right? Now this was a MilSim that just randomly popped up. It was a full 24 to maybe 36-hour event at Longmoor. But honest to God, I was in a 6-man NATO team. The rebels numbered in the region of about 12 to 15. There was like a rebel force, like a rebel militia. And then the opposing force was a combination of maybe about 20 people. So you've got the whole of Longmoor for what was effectively, I don't know, maybe like 40 to 50 people total. Which, okay, fine, sounds a bit empty and stuff like that. But the whole premise of this event was that it was zombies. So we were given various taskings where we had to go out, and firstly we had to do a recon of the area to identify the various roads and the kind of the network, kind of, just get a feel for the area. So we did that under the cover of darkness. We split up into 2 3-man fire teams, and we sort of swept through bits of Longmoor, but we're having to sort of duck and cover because there's various people wandering around that we didn't know who they were. The militia also were sort of doing various taskings of their own. But over the course of the event, basically, there was like strange sounds coming from the Afghan compound, the other side of the railway at Longmoor. If you know it, I think it's the Afghan compound it's called. I'm looking to you, Lance, for confirmation because I think that's what it is.
Oh, what, Longmoor? Yes, mate. Sorry, I was just reading. I'm just keeping tabs on the comments as well at the same time.
No, that's fine. You know the breeze block? The breeze block?
Yeah, it's the Afghan compound. That's out the back of the railway line, about 100 metres out.
Yeah, so there was like a scientist or something doing experiments on the local civilians that we had to try and sort of get overwatch on. And then just throughout the event, there were more and more zombies that just kept popping up. And the zombies were like these big, heavily armoured dudes. So we had to assault the helicopter, the downed Merlin on the far side of Longmoor from the main fob. We had to get over there and retrieve a large missile case, which was basically a 4-man carry. So we're having to lug this thing back, and we're being like the zombies coming in and out the houses at Longmoor, which, honest to God, it was one of the best events I've ever been to. And I think they did run a second one, and I wasn't able to get to that. And I really hope that they run a third because I know that there's a love of realism.
Mr. Aggravation in the chat there says, I think they got a game in Dartford in September. Maybe my mates have booked it. Sounds like that company.
Oh, okay.
So
I have to check that out.
Mr. Aggravation, if you've got any more details on that, that would be well received, sir.
I'll research that while we're having a look. But yeah, honest to God, it was so much fun. It really was.
I can tell from your story that you enjoyed it.
Shooting zombies that are kind of like you've got to clear houses in Longmoor, which is already cool because they're proper houses. So you've got to clear these buildings, and you've got screams coming out of various buildings. You've got, armed militia in some of the other buildings. So you don't really know every time you go into a building what you're going to come up against. And you're in a 6-man NATO team, which means there's none of this like, oh, that team's getting the better objectives. That team's doing something more interesting than stag duty or something like that. Like you were doing the whole thing. And it was so much fun. It was so cool. So
nice. I like it. That sounds good, mate. Good fun.
How about you, Lance?
Right. Well, mine aren't in particular order. These are like my top 3 MilSims that I've done. Now, I'm not saying which one's first, second, or third, but these are the top 3.
I was going to start with number 3.
All right. Well, okay. Well, number 3 in the top 3, ironically, is going to have to be Gladius 3 at Longmoor. When we were based, it was November, we were set up in the SF base, and we carried out multiple tasks that weekend that were just absolute cream. Oh my God. It was such a good event. It was a pucker event. It was, honestly, mate, yeah. We had the mortars going off, returning fire with them, you and Dan. They've got that video of you and Dan in the SF base, sending rounds back. We had the incident with the thermal, when we made QRF for the SAM fob, and we literally just cleared that wood block, and then we took out the 3 teams that were surrounding the SAM fob, clearing the buildings. It was just one of those events. We were knackered, exhausted. I think it rained for a fair bit of it as well.
Oh, I remember being so drenched that weekend.
And then sort of dried out. And we were our digs were set up above the QRF room, so it was just noise constantly, barely any sleep. But what an event! It was so good. It was so good. So that was Gladius 3 with Legion. Very, very dear place in my heart. Second one would be, I'd say, the first Machiavellian with Defiant up at
I didn't forget about that one, but that
which was a very heavily recce based event, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, and for any of you, there's a few new names in the chat tonight which I've not seen, but this event I didn't fire a single BB for the entire weekend, and I enjoyed it that much. It's in my top 3. It was that good. So it just goes to show you, if you're transitioning from skirmish into MilSim, be prepared that the round count is going to be a lot less than being on a skirmish day. But to this point, I was shocked that I didn't fire a BB, and I was even more shocked that I didn't care. That's how good it was, and I genuinely, and it was sneaky beaky, edge of your seat sort of stuff, laying prone, watching enemy movements. When you got people walking past, you could literally reach your arm out and untie their bootlace at one point. That's how close we managed to get with our OP onto their position when they're walking up that main road. Yeah, it was the coolest. It was such a good event. Loved it. It was really good. Little 4-man recce team inserted under the cover of darkness on the Friday night. Dug ourselves
we lived in that bush.
Lived in a bush for 48 hours, 4 of us.
I am so glad it didn't rain that weekend.
Oh my god, could you imagine? That could well have changed things. It's cold.
That would have massively changed
it. If it had rained, but if it had rained when it was that cold, it had just been snow, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah. It was that fucking cold. But we hollowed out a bramble bush for 4 of us to get in there with all our kit, Bergens, weapons, everything, all the stuff. We had to take it all in with us. Hollowed this bush out as our lay-up position, or LUP, and then from there we had to find an OP to get eyes on this enemy building that we had to report back any findings to Mike in the LUP. Then he liaised with Zero. They could sort of build up a battle plan of taskings and sort of like hard hits they wanted to carry out on certain buildings, and that all led up to a bit of a crescendo at the end. We had to collapse our LUP, pull back, and then we sort of went in with the strike force, which was really, really good. So yeah, that was the first Machiavellian event. Unfortunately, I've not been able to make. I think there's been a 3 now. Is there Mac Delta now? Was that the 4th one? Through work commitments and stuff, which has been really unfortunate. So, and then not number 1, but the final one on my list. It's really dear to my heart, and it was our Falklands event up at Apocalypse Airsoft. Probably,
yeah, that one was good as well. There's so many good events. That's the problem.
Got to be 6-7 years ago now. I think 6 years ago maybe. And that for me was one of the most physically testing, challenging events that we've done. To the point where I didn't sleep that weekend. We got there I'm trying to remember when it kicked off. I think it kicked off Friday afternoon-ish, didn't it?
Friday afternoon. It was Friday evening. We had to. We literally were in the car park. For those that don't know, Apocalypse Airsoft, it's basically a small car park at the bottom of the hill, and then you've got maybe 200, 300 meters of steps up the length of the hill to then go to like the game area, which is kind of the safe zone at the top of the hill. But the game area kind of extends a little bit like out and around it, so it kind of comes down the hill a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so our for all extensive purposes, our beachhead, if you like, was the bottom of the car park, but out of the car park. So if you drive, the car park's quite narrow. Right at the end, you got an off-road track and a set of steps that go up to the game zone. If you carry on in a couple of more meters, there's another little track, and then you can dogleg left and go up. And I believe it was called the Moonshine Hut was the first objective for us. Yeah. But so that was our beachhead. So we were Bergens on, weapons, all our kit. So we had to take this first objective, which would then become our stepping off point. So it was literally tried our first assault, just got wiped. Got about halfway up the second time, ditched our Bergens, managed to pepper pot up the hill, covering each other, took the enemy position, held it for 3 hours, and then from there we could push out to the next position. But we had to retain a section at the first position, which becomes our medic station. So every time we move forward, so we got one objective, second objective. Once we've taken the third objective, we can then move the aid station up to the second and sort of move along like that, just so we're not going back as far every time. And there was no stopping. That was it. We were just pushing, and then it finished in a big sort of crescendo on the Sunday where we actually got to, our main objective right at the end. And I don't think we got it. We got 99%.
It was
99%, and it was we were proper fucked at that point. But and it was really foggy, and I'll never forget it because I had my kite sight and my rifle trying to use and it was pointless. You're better off reliant on the actual movement of a body through the mist, because that's how we would locate. I mean, we stumbled across the patrol. They literally come out of the smog. And they were like, do you know where such and such is? And we were literally like, sorry, what? So I was like, yeah, sorry, lad, you lot are wiped.
See, that was another event. That was another event where we had small numbers of players, though, wasn't it? Because, we were like a small unit.
14, 15 of us against probably 25, 30 Argentinians, if you like, or enemy or force. And it was great because there was no harbour areas. Where we sort of dropped was where we sort of slept for the entire event. So if we got 3 objectives in and you've managed to find a ditch and it's gone quiet, you can grab an hour's sleep maybe while someone else is on stag. But there was no set, it was a case of literally just in my Bergen I had water, I had some food, my bivvy bag and my DOS sack, and that was it. And literally it was just like grab it out, try and sort of no sleep. Yeah, the firefights kicked off again, so pack it all back up. We're moving, and it's just go. I mean, I think at one point, we managed to lay up at the back of the range. I think that's the first time as a team, if I remember rightly, we actually managed to just lay down behind like some barriers and fallen logs and stuff, just to sort of like tuck ourselves away from where an engagement was going on, because like everyone was just like, I've got to stop. I can't go on.
I think that was the first point we had like a proper harbour area.
That's right. Yeah,
was around the back of the range.
But it was such a simple concept. There wasn't reams of intel. It wasn't this, that, and the other. It was like, right, it was a force on force. This is where you're infilling. This is your objective. Go, and I'll see you Sunday at some point. And I was just like, fantastic. Let's crack on.
Yeah. And it worked really well in that. It's probably quite hard to balance, but it worked really well in that we literally only got to the final objective right at the end of the weekend. Because I know we did a second
brilliantly.
one.
I mean, you couldn't have planned the timings of that event any better, because it literally was sort of 2-3 p.m. on the Sunday, or maybe 1:30 when we actually established a force that were able to go and take. I think it was called Burnt Jeep or something like that. That's where the main objective was, and that's another hill in itself. And that's got fire positions, and so it's very Hamburger Hill. If anyone's ever seen the film, it's like you've got little dugouts, little fire positions all the way up this hill, trying to get up there, and it's just like, this is going to cost a few people.
Do you know what? One that we didn't mention that was really good was the DEA event we did as well.
Yeah, there's so many. There's
5 or 6 DEA team.
Yeah,
where we were interrogating
brilliant.
People, and we had to every time we interrogated someone, we had to work out like the hierarchy of the cartel forces and that we were up against.
I mean, the best bit for that DEA event that we done was when, and I'm not even kidding, we were all back at our harbour area, like tucked right off the back of Punisher Pit, and I mean, do you remember? Because it was in the middle of summer, and we put them cam nets up, and the amount of times we couldn't find our own fucking harbour area, and they worked so well because it was so green up there. And I'm like, Mike, I literally don't know where we're going. And then someone would move it and be like, "Woo!" And you're like, "Fuck it!" And it literally disappeared. It was so cool. Yeah. But yeah, that's by the by. It was when we were sat there, and I think it was like the penny dropped simultaneously for everyone, who we finally worked out who the head of the snake was, and it was literally like, let's gear up, lads. It's game time.
Well, it was one of the organisers, wasn't it? That was the thing.
It was set it up. Well, talking of Canadians, it was matey. What's his name? Was it Martin? No, Martin's not Canadian. It was what was his name and his wife? They're both medics. Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember their names.
I'm terrible with names.
I do apologise. I can't remember the chap's name, but yeah, there's a Canadian couple, and it was a husband. He's always been involved with Apocalypse for an awful long time, and he was the head of the snake. He was the head of the Mancito cartel, whatever they were called back then. And it was literally like, yeah, gear up, and we went down, and it was sort of like, oh my god, I can't believe you figured out who it is. But yeah, that's quality.
Because we went right down to the safe zone because that's where they were operating from.
Well, we went in, didn't we? We went in because John even said to us, "said There is no safe zone," and we walked in. I said, "Right, lads," I said, "Just take your mags out, but we will go in weapons ready, sort of thing, just in case it does. But have it handy so you can just whap it in if this is like a double bluff." And they were like, "Oh, fucking whoa!" We were like, "Don't fucking move!" We know it's him. We worked it out. But it was great. It was having all the intel over like 24 hours and interrogating people that we had arrested. Like you had the bent local police force and that were sort of like, yeah, whatever, you can crack on, do what you got to do. And then we're bringing in interrogating actual sort of cartel members, and yeah, it was great. It was brilliant. Yes, it was a proper story, really building a picture up. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Really good.
Yeah. There we go.
I've got a wicked video actually of us of the 6 of us patrolling out of our Bergens and that on.
At the end, that was when we were going into the safe zone.
Yeah, it was really good.
Where that was, yeah.
Very cool. Who was it? Me, you, Kettles, Big Bear, Tony Bassett, and Jason.
Yeah.
Jason Stevens. Is it Jason Stevens?
Jason Stevens.
Yeah, Jason Stevens. Yeah, because he does the Green Frog MilSim stuff now, doesn't
he? Yeah.
Frog Green Frog, something like that. Yeah, that was very cool. Cool team, great guys. Yeah. Loved it. Woohoo! Yeah. We've been very lucky with some events we've been on.
We have. I mean, genuinely, it is harder, I think, for me to name bad events. There are some bad events that do particularly stick out. But again, for the most part, they were not MilSims.
No.
You know, they were generally...
And sometimes the frustrating
battle
point...
simmy type things.
Yeah, but and the thing as well is that sometimes, it could be really, really good, but unfortunately, it's been done in such a way that it's really not. But it could be such a simple fix. Do you know what I mean? And that's quite frustrating sometimes as well. When you're at an event, you think, "Oh, why can't they just do this?" But some organisers are quite strict on their stories, and it's staying on.
We did a DEA event. I mean, that's what I mean. The DEA event we just talked about was an Apocalypse MilSim. That was really good. We did a subsequent one, maybe like a year or two later, where we were the DEA, and we were defending an area because we were bombing it, which made no sense.
Yeah, it's almost like some events they just call that team or that side of the event.
Yeah.
Oh, they're DEA. Doesn't matter what they're doing, but they're the DEA, and you're the cartel. But you're going to be doing completely different things to what the DEA and the cartels do.
But why would the DEA demolish a location? It just doesn't make any sense.
No, no.
Yeah. Right, I feel like we've talked about that quite a lot. Just run through a couple of comments.
Great question.
Yeah, it's a good question. James says, it's not a business, mate. It's a hobby that unfortunately needs to financially sustain itself. If I could run 3 events, then I definitely would.
Still here.
Amen to that. Gavin says, I can understand the want to pepper spray Mike. Thanks, Gavin. To be fair, I gave them just cause for that weekend, definitely. Mr. Aggravation says, sorry, it's called Ultimate War Games, not Battle Station. Yeah, it's Battle Station Activity Centre. But Ultimate War Games is also a cracking site. They've got an awful lot there. I think the only problem with that site is that pinch point because it's kind of hourglass shaped.
That's where we had an Octo event, isn't it? That's that picture of me asleep in my bivvy -6 with just my chin and my beard sticking out. That's the Brands Hatch, I think. Ultimate War Games, isn't it?
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Gilly Nanu. This is why I love Gilly play and sniping because I can go a whole day, even on weekend games, with just shooting a few tac mags. But the adrenaline and the fun of being 5 meters from someone is just great.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that,
mate. Agree with that one. Daniel Brewer, one bit of kit that you would love if money wasn't an object, nods not included. Let's exclude thermal from this as well and vehicles. Because that...
One bit of kit that I would love. Oh, blimey. Oh.
I know this sounds ridiculous. I genuinely think I've got an awful lot of stuff that... Well, I mean, I could probably just end there. I've got an awful lot of stuff. But I've got an awful lot of stuff that I want, if that makes sense. I do have a wish list, though. Let me just pull up my wish list and just see if I've got anything on there.
You've got a wish list?
I think I was looking... Oh, it's just like a little list of like, I quite fancy this. I think I was looking at like a Corinthia jacket, something like that. Wetworks Summer Combat hoodie looked cool.
Oh, okay.
a Virtus 40 litre. So,
They're all achievable things, though.
Oh, that's what I mean. It's not wholly unachievable to get them. It's a challenge at the moment, just from a cash flow perspective,
Yeah, absolutely.
because times are tight, and it's obviously trying to save a bit of money. But I genuinely can't think of anything wholly expensive other than Nod's thermal or a vehicle.
I mean, kit-wise, I'm happy with what I've got. I mean, I haven't got anything that's screaming at me saying, "Oh, you need to get that." You think after sort of 8 years of doing MilSims, you'd be sort of pretty squared away by now. However, if I had to pick something that sort of wanted to sort of scratch an itch that I've had for a few years over it, it'd be one of the
scratcher.
One of a back scratcher, yeah, a tickler. It would be one of the SAS bivvies, the hooped bivvy, but the Woodland DPM.
Yeah,
always wanted one of them, but that'd pretty much be it. Yeah, anything else? No.
You know what? Actually, I know exactly what I want. You know the JJ's. Let me look it up quickly. No, hang on. I nearly
Is it
left
their new
page.
coat that you wanted?
Stay on the page. It is the new coat. So I think Through Dark did do one as well, which is like the big overcoat.
It's the jump smock in it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one.
Let me just look that up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the Through Dark one is not as good as the JJ's one or anything like that. I don't really have the ability to tell the difference. The JJ's one is definitely a lot more expensive. I can say that for a fact. Let me just find it. But it does look cool. And it would be something I would want.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. Oh, I'll tell you another thing I'd like. I would like an original Denison smock.
The insertion Parker.
Yeah, that's the one, the insertion Parker.
£900.
I would like an original parachute regiment Denison smock, like Arnhem Denison smock. But that is, you're talking sort of double the money of a JJ's for one of them, an original, in good condition. They are fucking like, oh my God, I would give a kidney for one of them. I really would, because I think they are banging. And the fact that they were pretty much made by the paratroopers with literally just paintbrushes. That camo pattern was just flicked on paintbrush, and that's just like that's fucking so cool. It's very British, but it's very cool. So yeah, I'd love one of them, an original Denison smock. Yeah, that'd be sort of awesome.
I also want to get my this phone interchange system set up. So sort of before Christmas, I went and was able to find a number of British Army field telephones, sort of on the relative cheap. There are currently 6 for sale on eBay for £300, which is quite a decent price, but I just can't justify £300 on 3 or 6 more phones that I don't even know if work.
Have you got the 2 working that you've got?
I don't own 2 anymore. I own a lot more than 2.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I have about 4 or 5 now.
Are any of them working? Have you established comms?
Bar one. All of them work bar one. I do want to try and get that the last one working. I need to send it over to JCI Comms or somebody. Just have a look at it. But again, cash flow, just can't justify that. But Harry Badger, if you are listening, and I hope you are, because we need to catch up. Because
we miss you, Harry. Where have you been?
Yeah, but before Christmas, I was looking at because Harry also bought some field telephones as well, and we were talking about the idea of coming up with a Peli case, which you can run all the phone lines into, and then it effectively acts as an interchange system for all the phones. So as the phones ring in, you can obviously you get kind of buzzed. You've got to answer. You know what, you want to be connected to so and so, and then you have to have.
You can actually have your own exchange and plug them in.
You can do automatic ones because they are digital. The way that they work is like a digital signal, so you can have a digital setup. So, for example, you could theoretically, with 6 phones, have a mini phone network, which is obviously completely uninterceptable if you've got the phone lines buried and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's a direct line of communication. But it would give you the ability that you could ring different areas. So the idea I had was, for example, say that you've got a a phone line running through, and you have to have someone running on when they're on stag, running that phone interchange, and you have comms coming through, and that's actually properly fed back to your command structure, rather than just like, to alpha 1 to 0. Can you confirm this? It breaks that comms line up a little bit, so you've got good comms as long as you're near that phone. So it becomes a more strategic point to have.
Yep.
So you can get automated ones, but I just like the idea of like a Peli case, which is like all properly connected up, and then you have to have someone effectively playing phone operator while they're on stag, because it gives that stag duty something more to do.
Yeah, a bit more substance to it, which is good.
Yeah. So I would like that. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've also... You can get these. I own some of these as well. You can get little boxes that clip onto the cables and then effectively act as like a listening system. So you can just add a telephone in, like you just literally click it on and it splices a phone onto that cable. So theoretically, you could have that phone line intercepted. And from my understanding, that means that when you do have a line coming through, you could have the enemy having like a listening post where they're actually intercepting that. And if you were to identify they had a listening post, you could have a linesman team having to go out and trace the telephone line and potentially fix it or repair it, or identify like where the enemies cut it with bolt cutters and have to rewire it.
Bring another element to an event, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
like an actual proper tasking like that. That's
I know it's a bit silly, and I know it's like overly technical, perhaps for some players, but I just like that whole EOD aspect, and something that's not just running around blapping each other and I've grabbed that bit of intel. Like, if you've actually not interrogated someone, but if you've sat down with them and you've tried to get information out of them, and that's a fun thing to do. And running a proper zero, i.e., you don't just have someone on zero that's like an event organizer. You've got someone there that's pulling information. Maybe it's not even, they're not even anything to do with the event. They are just coordinating from a pure, right, I've been given that intel, I'm going to make a tasking decision based on that. And it could be fuck all. And it could be duff intel, and they've got to try and patch that together. I think that adds another element. And it's good for players that maybe aren't wanting to run around, but still want to engage with that kind of airsoft and role play aspect. I think it's quite cool.
Yeah, 100%.
This conversation has deviated massively, but yeah, it's just I like the idea of having a telephone system. Similarly, the mesh tastic, I want to play around with those a bit more, but that's not, I guess, a money no object question, because they're again quite achievable.
Yeah.
Good. Those people have thrown in some ideas. Call Sign Samurai says drones.
Yep, good shout.
I'll give it a good drone. Gavin, a decent radio system is on my want list. Drones are a good shout, though. James said decent comms cost a bomb. Slightly overkill, but still cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gavin, that insertion smock is a camo dry robe. Yeah, but it's cool, man. And it's better. And it does have dry robe written on it as well, let's be honest.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, in big white letters. Dry robe.
Yeah.
Tactical as fuck.
Les wants a Beast Bergen.
Got one of them. Courtesy of you and many others, Les. So love you forever for that. Big kiss. Although, however, I do have a slight critique of the Beast Bergen. Which Mike's aware of. I do. Not a bad point, but I did tell you about it when we went to the on the Great Tommy Sleep Out. It's the... I don't know if they're designed for it, but you've got the 3 utility pouches on the front, at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
The water bottles. If anyone knows a method of getting a 58 pattern water bottle out of one of those pockets on the front of a Beast Bergen within an hour, let me know. Because when that Bergen's got its kit inside it, and you've got a water bottle in one of either the left or the middle pouch is fine because it's slightly bigger, but the left and right pouches, that centre one, it's a struggle. It's a proper... Even with the snow... They've got the snow baffle inside the pocket as well. That doesn't really come into it, but genuinely, the pockets, if I had to pick a hole in it, which I won't, because it's a brilliant bag, it's perfect. Other than those pockets they should just be the same size as the middle one. They should just all 3 be the same size.
No.
It's just like...
Let them know.
Yeah, I'm just like... I'm wrestling with it. Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something wrong? What is this? What is this devilry?
Just message him and ask him.
So, hey, J. Jones.
They might... I'm
not in the forces.
They'll make it bigger for you.
Can't you push it?
I want to make this pouch bigger.
There's not the material there, Les. I've tried it, mate, but it's just literally, like my other tailored Bergen, you can just click the flap open, grab the string that's around my bottle, pull it, and out it comes. There's no resistance there, but it's a real battle. It's a real battle, regardless of pushing it up. I mean, if someone wanted to take it out for me, they'd still be battling with it. It's but there we go.
James says the middle pouch is the water bottle pouch. Carrying water in others would leave you imbalanced.
I've always put 3 across the front. All 3 on my other tailored Bergen are all water bottle pouches. All of them. Because they're the bigger of the 2. Utility pouches are always smaller than the water bottle pouch. So it'd be odd that they've got 1 water bottle and 2 utilities. That wouldn't make much sense. Just go 3 water bottle. If you're getting a Bergen tailored, go with water bottle pouches because the utility ones are too tight for a water bottle. If that's the case, then yeah, I stand corrected. But they are very tight.
I guess if you want the water in the water bottle pouch, you could have an empty to one side. It will give you somewhere to put an empty. Like if we're talking that the water's going to unbalance you, I don't know.
No idea.
Gavin says I'd like to set up ad hoc networks for ATAC. I've got an outdoor Wi-Fi AP to configure. Meshtastic, as far as I'm aware, Meshtastic, and I don't know exactly how it all works because I need to look into it and I don't have one yet. But the Meshtastic devices, you can basically set up little networks without having, I don't know, I need to look into it a lot more. But basically, it all talks to each other and then you can have the mapping. So there you go. I told you we were next, Vex. Right, there was another question. Daniel Brew asked that one. Sorry. Mr. Aggravation asks, what events would you recommend?
Ooh, depends really, mate. I mean, it depends if you're new to sort of the MilSim scene or quite experienced looking for something else to try.
Well, let's go through it in a logical order. So, right, brand new to MilSim, done some airsoft skirmishing, like airsoft, but you've heard about these weird, wonderful things called MilSims. Who would we recommend that they go to?
Well, for a first ever MilSim, or would we say that what we normally say is go and try Battle Sim first, so you haven't got to worry about.
We'll talk MilSims because I'm.
All right, okay. I mean, obviously, first and foremost,
there are Battle Sims, so go and have a go at those first.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, we're talking your first MilSim then, and we're going to assume that you've got all the kit for you to take part in the event safely and sort of relatively comfortably, although it's not going to be very comfortable. The first one sort of go-to for me would be Defiant. Obviously, unfortunately, Legion aren't around anymore, so it would be the Ben. But yeah, Defiant would be one of the top ones for me. You've got your Octo events if you want something that's sort of MilSim-ish, but it's got the break in the middle, and you're not reliant on sort of like surviving out in the field. You can come back to sort of a safe camping area in the evening, have a bit of a social, and then go back out the next day for some more action. You've got the Octo events, but it depends. If it's all very realism stuff you want, bud, then I'd highly recommend the Defiant events for me. Yeah, or you've got the frontline events that do sort of like the reenactments, sort of real hardcore stuff, which is also another one to have a look at. But yeah, Defiant, very, very good. Highly recommend, especially when they bring events out.
I think the difference between Defiant and frontline is ultimately what do you want to get into? Do you want to do the kind of more historical?
Frontline are much more historical, accurate sort of things, bits and bobs like that.
Not to say you can't do both, obviously, but just from the perspective of if you've gone, oh man, I love it. I've got a Thompson, I've got a Luger. It's like very much World War II weapons. Then frontline events all day long. That's definitely where we want to get involved with, because that's a good community that you'll get involved with, which is kind of around your. James from Defiant said your check is in the post, mate.
Just say it as I see it, mate. Say it as I see it.
Yeah, but from the kind of the more modern day stuff, and things like Raid and stuff like that, then yeah, Defiant events is definitely good. I think if you're going to go and do a MilSim, I'd probably suggest that you might find it. It's a hard one. I often recommend Op4 as kind of a first kind of segue into MilSim, because it kind of gives you that you're staying out, you're kind of making sure you're looking after yourself, you're getting to know the organisers of the event, you're getting to know the gameplay, the sites, etc. But having said that, I know a lot of people do get an awful lot out of just immediately jumping into kind of the more rigorous, like Blue 4, NATO, JTF, whatever you want to call it, that kind of
taskings, regimented
force
sort of stuff.
thing, because
yeah.
you know what's going on. Most likely you'll have a timetable. You know, you're in proper sections. You know exactly who your TL is. You've got a strong hierarchy. So, you know, I used to recommend just opt for stuff, but I think going forward, it's very much a balance as to what you want from that style and what you find better.
And at the end of the day,
being said as well,
just sort of look about as well. And if something takes your fancy, give it a go. Why not? You know, if you don't like it, then you don't like it. You move on to something else. Try a different style of event. You know, or you know, if you are sort of comfortable doing something, maybe put yourself out your comfort zone a little bit. Try something that's a bit science fiction-y, like Mike with a zombie event or something like that. You know, something along them lines. You might think, Christ, that's actually really, really good. You know, it wasn't sort of like modern or realistic in the sense of like it's actually like relevant to a real world scenario, but it is essentially a force on force. Now, that's what we did with our Phoenix event. It was, you know, it was modern day if you like, but the way we planned the story and the way sort of like the characters interacted and you had the different factions, it was sort of a little bit more out there. So it sort of pulled people away from their comfort zone and enabled them to do other things that they sometimes wouldn't have been able to do on a more realistic event, if you like, which was really good. And a lot of people sort of really got involved with that and sort of embraced it, which is what we love to see, because obviously organising it, you always worry that, I'm not going to enjoy it and you know, but yeah.
See, that one didn't
very
make
well
my
received.
top 3 because I don't feel like I really got to attend it.
Well, you won't do as an organiser, will you? That's
what I mean.
You know,
like,
you're there.
Cool,
you're ensuring everyone else's happiness, sort of thing. It was cool to do. You know, it was cool. It was really cool to do it, and seeing it all unfold and seeing and what I found really good was people bringing their own sort of elements to the event. We gave them sort of like the tools and that, but then they sort of built on top of it. Oh well, I'm gonna add this into my sort of persona and how I'm gonna sort of like project myself at the event, this, that, and the other, and yeah, it was really cool to see. You know, the effort as well. The effort was fucking unbelievable. What people went to. You know, I've still got a herb growing on that site to this day from that very event. You know, it's looking a little bit worse for wear now. I think some deer have nibbled at it, but on the whole, it is still there. Pride of place. It's growing out of the stump. Yeah, a bit of sage, lovely. Enjoy that with the
I mean, if you're looking for a lighter event where you can kind of, it's kind of I would say it's a step between full MilSim and Battle Sim is kind of the Octo events. So you obviously you can run the camping, for example, as a full MilSim if you want to. There's no pressure to though. So
it's also a very good test bed for your MilSim camping setup. You know, you could take your basher and your roll mat and your DOS bag and your bivy bag, and you could set that up in a safe environment after the game's finished for the first day. You know, for like once the Saturday's finished, Saturday afternoon into the evening, you can set your kit up. You can really analyse it. You can go through, make sure you're happy with how you've set it up. And then, you know, for your next event, well, I'm really confident now of setting up, because some people aren't. You know, some people set up bash. I've seen some right hashes of people putting a basher up and just end up laying under a sheet, getting piss wet through. But if you've got that bit of confidence there where you've taken the time to set it up and, you know, different orientations even, I actually prefer using it this way or that way, you know. And then when you go to another event where you're living out of a backpack and you're in with a team that have done a few events, you know, under their belts, and they're a bit more savvy and, you know, a bit more experienced, you know, you've got the basics there. You've got the basics of the admin that's required for you out in the field to look after yourself and that for 24, 36 hours. You know, but it's a perfect place to try bits and bobs like that. And same for skirmish days. You know, if you've got new kit, new plate carriers and that, you want to have a little run around and test it out. You know, paying 25, 30 quid for a skirmish day to go and run some kit and make sure it's all good. You know, doesn't matter if you get shot out. It's the fact you're there to carry out some in-field testing, if you like. You know, which is always a good thing.
I mean, if you're based in the States, obviously we've talked primarily about our experiences in the UK, but from my understanding, there's a lot of good Airsoft MilSim companies in the States. I mean, MilSim West is obviously the one that gets banded around the most, which obviously I think that's West Coast. But there's obviously a lot of companies out there, and just get involved and try and find advice locally if you can. If you go skirmishing, there's probably one or two people that have done a few MilSims at your skirmish day. You can find out a little bit more, or even just ask online. There's obviously lots of opportunities where nowadays you don't have to physically see someone. You can just chat to the internet, and the internet will tell you. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right, we're going to jump into the next one. I thought this was a really good question. Gavin says, how do you feel about the level of fitness of the average airsofter? I've taken a pause over winter to get fitter.
Nothing wrong with that at all, mate. That's a very positive step, absolutely. I myself am going to be looking at getting back to the gym in the next couple of weeks. More, actually, I must say, credit to my daughter who's just started at the gym. She's 13 years old. She's been down there every day for the last week and a half. So she sort of said, "Oh, Dad, you should come down. You'd really enjoy it down there." And I'm sort of like, "Yes, I think I will. I think I will do that." So yeah, no, I'm looking to get back to the gym and that as well, man. I think it's individual choice, isn't it? You can choose to be fit or not be fit. That's entirely your choice. No one's stopping you from going out and doing some jogging or using the free gym equipment that's at most parks now in the UK, or joining a 24-hour gym for 25-30 quid a month. There's options out there. It's just whether you choose to use them or not. I mean, the hardest step I've always found, and I've been to gyms throughout the last sort of 20 odd years, I suppose, been gym training, is actually taking that step to go to the gym. Once you're there, you get the old endorphins kicking in, and all the happy hormones start flowing, then you're loving it and you're buzzing. But it's making that first visit is probably the hardest thing about going to the gym. And once you've done that, then you're golden. You'll be laughing after that. I will be. I know I will be, because I've done it before. Well, I've had months away from training, and then I've done that first training session, come back and gone, "Oh, why have I let all those months slip by without training? What I could have achieved by now," and just been like, "I'm Adonis." But yeah, it's taking that first step. So I think it's really positive for airsofting. Airsofting itself is a physical sport. It requires a level of fitness to take part in it. Especially, I mean, I couldn't do a skirmish day properly now. I'll be dead. You see these 15, 16, 17, 18, 20 odd year olds running around like their asses are on fire. Just fucking makes my head spin. I'm just like, can you slow down? Just please. I'm trying to focus on one person at a time.
I still love. We did a skirmish day a while ago. I think it was my birthday, and it was a load of MilSimmers basically at a skirmish day, and the whistle blew. The whistle blew, and immediately all the MilSimmers were like, "Right, I'm gonna go sort my rifle out. Cup of tea, anyone?
I'm gonna get a brew on.
Yeah, I'm on foremost." While all the skirmishers just went whoosh, and started running off.
I think there was one skirmish I did back in the early days, and it's first when I started getting pally with Mark Kettles and Tony Bassett. I think it was the three of us were at Apocalypse on a Sunday, and we were sort of like quite older than the rest of the crowd. And you just see, like, when the whistle goes, you got to storm towards Checkpoint Charlie. And it's just like, these kids are like, let's go, like, turbo. But there's three of us at the back, like,
we're coming.
Yeah, we'll be there in a sec. It's a nonchalant walk down this pathway. We're here to take the glory. But yeah, no, I think level of fitness is, obviously it's a requirement, But
I mean, that's ultimately the one thing. Like, people always go, "Oh yeah, how can I be a better airsofter or better at MilSims or anything like that?" Fitness is, being able to run 100 meters and then not having to cough up blood at the end of it. It's obviously an advantage.
Yeah.
It's a massive advantage, and it is a lot of things that people don't really take into account. People go and spend an awful lot of time and money investing in their rifles and the platforms and bits of kit and etc. like that. And whereas ultimately trying to get yourself a little bit fitter and going for a walk etc. is a huge advantage. And it's something I miss, and it's ultimately just down to time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time to go and spend exercising. I try and do a little bit what I can at lunch. But for the most part, my day is predominantly working in an office, and then I get home, and then I've got parenting duties and sort of various bits and pieces that I'm doing. Podcasts where, again, I'm sitting here for an hour and a half talking to you guys. And it's just a lack of time. It's a challenge. So, yeah, good on you, Gavin. Well done.
Yeah, fair play,
that sounded really childlike, pet on the head. Yeah. Andy says, what's your plans or our plans for Shift Your Riffs? So we're going to be at Shift Your Riffs this year. We're going to have a lovely big stand.
I'm going to be socialising
to us
all day.
We will have someone on the stand all day. We're going to be out and about in the field as well. We'll be wandering around the boot sales. We're hoping to play a couple games ourselves, which will be some. Andy says, "Where is the other sexy host?"
He's not here. He's running. He's sorting our schedule out for us.
We're going to be trying to play a game basically, which is along the lines of Trade Up. So we'll be doing this as like little clips, which we'll sort of edit into a video afterwards. But the idea being is that we'll start with something like one of our patches, perhaps, or something like that, and then try and find someone that's willing to trade for something bigger or better, and then we'll just be going through sort of various between the three of us to try and see what we can trade up, and then potentially just if whatever we end up with, give it away, which would be exciting.
Yep.
So yeah, come and say hello.
We're gonna have some kit on the stand as well that we for any of you guys that are going to be at Shift Your Riffs. I haven't done MilSims before, so we're gonna have some of our kit there, sort of like fully loaded, ready to go, so you can come and try it out, have a look, see what sort of things we sort of take to a 24-hour MilSim event. Sort of like the camping kit, your sleep systems, cook sets, bits and bobs like that. So you can sort of try the weight of a Bergen and bits and bobs like that. And we might run the older fully loaded Bergen press up competition again. That was very well received a couple of years ago when we did it. Wonder if Mega Dad's going to be back there to win it out of nowhere, which was incredible.
We'll have to not announce. We'll have to not announce how many the maximum is this year, because I think after he did his like 9 million, it put people off from entering after that.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was impressive. But then if people are going to be there watching, someone's going to know what the current highest score is going to be. But yeah, we might do that again. Yeah, it's just going to have some fun, and obviously our beautiful smiley faces will be there for you guys to come and chat and take the piss out of us, which is what we love.
We'll have some other bits and pieces as well. So the MilSim bandages, my mum is currently working her fingers to the bone, making a few more of those.
Jolly good.
On the stand. We'll have examples of some of the T-shirts and hoodies that we have up for sale. Hopefully by then, all pinned down, bottomed up, so that you can have a look. And the premise is we're going to be taking pre-orders for those, because we just don't have the cash flow as a podcast, basically buy a load of stock and then sell it.
Oh, bollocks! I should have worn my T-shirt tonight. I didn't think about that. Arse.
Oh, what the November Foxtrot one?
Yeah,
I wore it a few weeks ago. I think it was like last week, maybe.
Bugger.
But yeah, so we'll have a few of those. So if you want to have a look at what you're ordering, that's a good opportunity to kind of see, what it is you're going to be ordering potentially. But yeah, I'd love to. Genuinely, it'll be great to just have 200 of everything, and then we can go, right, do you want to buy it? This is what you're going to buy. This is the physical thing. Here you go. But unfortunately, we just can't do that. So it's going to be a sort of a pre-order basis. We'll sort of run the pre-orders for a couple months and then get everything shipped and sent out all at the same time, basically. So yeah, should be good. Good question, Andy. Well done.
Well done, Andy. There was another question that came in, and now I can't bloody find it.
Oh, that's right. Well, while you do that, Gilly Nanu says, is it One Feather that did like a 1 hour... Phoenix Feather, she said afterwards, but Phoenix Feather that did like a 1 hour video on the Meshtastic stuff. I think it was. There's a whole load of information out there on Meshtastic. And if it is something that's of interest to people, I highly recommend starting on the Meshtastic website. There's a whole load of, it's almost like a complete wiki for Meshtastic stuff. But then jumping into YouTube as well, because there's loads of people that are playing around with it. We're hoping to get some kits set up so that we can basically run. Each individual person will have their own Meshtastic device on their kit. That will be enabled with GPS, which will then allow us to basically create like a mini network between everyone in the team. And you can also have some base stations set up as well that you kind of just leave around the game zone, so that ultimately that will bounce back to whoever's running, the ATAC server or Blue Force tracker or whatever, which will then link to everyone's phones and things as well. So there's a lot of kind of good opportunity with some of the kit there. So we're going to be playing around with that. Yeah, Gavin says T-Rex Arms has some good Meshtastic YouTube videos as well. What was the question, Lance?
No, sorry, mate. It was a question within a question from James Dadson. I didn't read the first bit about the gas blowback pistols. I was looking for I saw the scrim bit, because I think the question was halfway up the screen, so it cut off the first part.
No, that's fine. James says gas blowback or non-blah. non-blowback pistols, non-blowback pistols for MilSim, and do you use scrim for concealment as a rifleman role?
I think it's personal preference. I think pistol wise, you think you've got the Mac 23 that the snipers use. That's a non-blowback pistol, which with devastating results, which I highly disagree with, because I don't think pistols should be able to outshoot rifles, but most of them do. Tossers, but there we go. Argument for another day. Silly Gilly listens back, he'll be spitting feathers at me, and Hutchie for that matter. But yeah, I've got a high cap of 45 gas blowback. I love it. It's the first pistol I bought all those years ago when I started, and it's the one I've still got now, thanks to Ash fixing it a few months back for me, because I decided to strip it, and that was a big mistake. I was like, yeah, I'll take this
I'm a tech
apart.
now.
I'm a tech. Look at me teching things. I am teching. Ash, can I give you a carrier bag of pistol to make it back into a pistol for me? Here you go. And he did, so that was brilliant. But yeah, that's it. Each their own, really, buddy. I don't think you can go far wrong for a bit more realism, with the old sliders going back and this, that, and the other. Yeah. Well, I'll
tell you what, if you want to go down the route of like, what was there was the computer game with like the guy with the three, it's like Sam Fisher with the 3 dots of night vision.
Not Twisted Metal. Metal Gear Solid.
No, not Metal Gear Solid. I'll come back to Sam. I think it was Sam Fisher. Hang
on.
Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. Yes, always ran around in a wetsuit for some reason.
Yeah, if you want to go around the route of Splinter Cell, which is like the proper like gamified silence pistol or anything like that, then definitely a sort of tier Mark 23 or anything along that line. Generally, non-blowback pistols are often quieter just for that reason. Then that's going to give you that kind of more silencer feel, I guess. Which, whether that's realistic or not, and ultimately the range of it and everything like that.
What a brilliant game that was. Did they ever remake that, Splinter Cell?
Oh, there was loads of them.
No, for like PS4, PS5. Did they do more? That's a game I'd like to play again.
Yeah. There were loads of different versions of the game. So you had Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 2002, Pandora Tomorrow 2004, Chaos Theory 2005, Essentials 2006. I'm not going to read all the names out. 2010, 2011, 2013.
That's relatively sort of the last sort of 10
years. 2013, it sounds like it was the last one.
Oh, okay. Oh, blimey. Do you remember Fade to Black? PS1, I think that was. Yeah, that was a good game with the big lizard dudes.
I had that on the computer. It's like boxy people running around.
Yeah, that's quality, man. Yeah, I loved it. That's cool.
But scrim, so in terms of pistols, I don't think it really makes much difference, to be honest with you. In my mind, realistically, if you're going to go for the more stealthy kind of sniper aspect and recon, then maybe the non-blowback for the quieter. But to be honest with you, to the point of where you're having to fight with pistols in a MilSim scenario, if you're just running as a rifleman, shit's probably gone down already.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think stealth is going to be your problem at that point.
If you're clearing buildings, I don't think you need to worry about being quiet at that point. Yeah. Be as loud and obnoxious as you can. And scare the enemy into surrender.
Gilly Nanu says, my Mark 23 is shooting like 60 meters on a flat and makes basically no noise, can shoot it a few meters from someone and they wouldn't know. So
yeah, that's I'll rest my case. Piss off, Gilly Nanu, with your Mark 23. Bloody things, they are the bane of my life.
They are good though.
They're brilliant. Oh, they're fantastic. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They are brilliant. But yeah,
can you imagine rocking up as a sniper role? You're like, what sniper platform are you running? Pistol.
This one. It's just like, piss off. And all you get is this. That's literally it. I'm just like, oh. Yeah.
It's the same as some weapon platforms, to be honest with you. I mean, I know obviously Gintaris. From the Octo games with the AK.
Oh, the
AK that we talked about before.
Yeah. Oh my god, what a bit of kit.
It was mint, absolutely mint. This thing. But then, should an AK be that quiet? In my opinion, probably not. That's a little bit like. It's not like a proper silenced AK.
What a bit of kit.
It's very cool though. I'm not going to lie.
It's very, very cool. Yeah. I had the pleasure of having a little go on that, and that was, I was like, this is a bit of fun. This is a bit of fun. I like this. Don't like the airline, but it's a bit of fun.
But yeah, jumping back to the scrim for concealment as a rifleman role, I would say that having a bit of scrim on you is going to be handy regardless of what role you have, because ultimately it depends on the size you have, but you can run it around your neck as a scarf.
Scrim scarves, mate, they're so warm in the winter as well.
Yeah.
If you scrunch that scrim scarf up, they're brilliant bits of kit. Yeah, I highly recommend a little bit of scrim net on you. Absolutely. If it's the small netted stuff that we're talking about, for a bit of concealment, what I've got, I keep in my commander's pouch on my webbing, on my belt kit, is a mosquito hood, but it's like an OD green, like a lightish OD green with a slight camo top to it. So if you're in a bind and you haven't got time to can cream up or anything like that, and you just sort of like inadvertently landed in a bit of a recce roll where you're laying up in a bush, just chucking that over with glasses underneath, just pulling it over your head, mate, it's an absolute game changer. It's such a wicked little bit of kit just to keep, and it's scrunch. I mean, I can't be asked to grab it now.
Yeah, they are literally tiny.
They literally
you're talking like
tiny, just like well, it's just a tiniest little bit of kit, and it scrunches up into a tiny little bag. Just whip that out. You've got a full head covering, which OD green help you blend in a bit more, take that shine away. Yeah, perfect. But yeah, a bit of scrim net, mate. Absolutely, scrim net all day long. Love it. Love it. Great bit of kit.
I know there was a couple of events we did a while back where we sort of... The thing that always bugs me, whenever you hold a position, is that you don't have outposts. So people will... If you go, right, you've got to go and hold that location, don't just have all of your defensive forces in one little area. Send a few people out like 200-300 meters with a comms line back, so that you hide them in a bush, and then you know where the enemy's coming. You've got potentially a chance to pick some off without them knowing, or you can outflank them. If they've come past you, you can just sort of sneak out the bush and take them out from the back. But in those situations, just having a little bit of scrim, if you're in a bush and you haven't had a chance to cam cream up or anything like that, or it's particularly hot. I mean, I find that the cam cream starts sweating off or whatever, so I haven't had time to reapply it.
I'll be back. I've got to find it now, so it'll annoy me.
No, that's fine. Just chucking something over your head can make a massive difference. Again, when you're cold, I quite like a Highlander over like a snood type thing. The Highlander ones are quite good because they're not just printed on the outside. So if the fabric on the snood sort of rolls out, you don't end up with a big white strip, which you can do with some of the others. But they keep you warm. There you go. Cracking little bit of kit, that. And also keeps the bugs off.
What's that? Sorry.
It keeps the bugs off. I was just saying your.
Oh yes. So there we go. Highlander.
It's a Highlander one, isn't it? Yeah.
Highlander micro head net. There we go. In my hand, scrunched up. Observe. Even with the cans on.
People say that we should start an OnlyFans, and this is the sort of high quality content that you get.
Granted, I have got a big strip light above my head. But just boshing that on just takes that layer off. I absolutely love it.
You can also use your mum's tights.
Or you can use your mum's tights if you so wish. If that is your vibe, then crack on. But yeah, highly recommend one of them, mate. And you could even, I suppose you could spray. Do you know what? I might give that a little bit of rattle can treatment even. Darken it down a little bit maybe. Put some stripes through it. Could be a game changer. Watch this space. I shall do that. I'm happy to sacrifice mine. The
mosquito net. Ghillie hood.
Yeah. But why not? Why
no,
not?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why not indeed?
I'll tell you what, those I personally would suggest that anybody that sleeps in a bivvy bag or anything like that, which basically kind of open to the elements, has one of those, because the number of times that I've slept in sort of, midges or, I don't know whether per se they specifically were mosquitoes, but things that you don't really want crawling over your face start buzzing around and sort of getting into your sleep system and stuff. Having one of those can just be a bit of a game changer in terms of just keeping things off your face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even just the peace of mind of thinking that it might keep it off your face, just with that little hope. Andy says inhale them fumes.
Must have belt kit. Oh, look, Mike, Kamui.
Yeah, Kamui. We were on the Great Tommy Sleep Out. The reason that the high pitch Kamui. We were on the Great Tommy Sleep Out, and we were comparing poo chairs, which are basically
manliness of our seating arrangements.
Yeah, we're talking like the super compact kind of portable camping chairs. So obviously there's a number of different brands available. Lance has a Kamui one. Andy, Pegasus, and I all own one Tigris. He owns, for some reason, one Tigris have two different styles of chair. They have one which has got like a short back, and then one's a high back. The high back they named Dragon Hide or something like that. Or, yeah, something like
Fucking
super like
yes.
And then the short back they called the Promenade, which couldn't be more of a difference in chairs. But yeah, basically I've got the Promenade chair. And everyone was taking the piss because it's like, oh, the Promenade. It sounds like something you go like the
bit la-di-da.
proms and you go out for a walk and la-di-da. And then pointing out the fact that Kamui, if you just say it in a high-pitched voice,
Kamui
can be just as la-di-da. So I don't think it's anything to do with the chair. But yeah.
I'd rather Kamui than
low and compact chairs are available.
Promenade. Yeah, absolutely. I have the OG poo chair though. Just saying. Hashtag.
You do.
Ah, Mr. Duke says quack. Absolutely, of course he does.
That's pretty much it for the questions, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anything else I missed.
Some wonderful questions this evening. Thoroughly enjoyed
Andy
them.
asked one. We'll bring this one up. What's the one thing you would recommend for the MilSim that thinks they own everything? So I have a few of these. Funnily enough, this was a completely unprompted question, but I can name a couple of these things. So there's something called the ICU mirror system, which was a product that was brought out an awful long time ago, and I must profess it's an interesting one that I don't think generally a lot of people would use.
Sorry.
Thanks, Joe. I'm not reading that out.
Joe, you're a tosser.
So the ICU mirror system is basically a little set of mirrors that you mount onto the end of your rifle that are kind of like, you know, those in the
looking
UK,
around corners.
Yeah, so you know in the UK when you have like those blinds driveways that come out and then they have that mirror system kind of mounted opposite on the road. So that big
not the same size as one though, surely.
No, it's not quite that big. It's like a little. I'll see if I can find a picture.
Where is he?
But it is the equivalent.
Dinner plate
it is
mirror
the equivalent of like a little mirror on the end of a stick, basically. But you can just put them on the end of the rifle, and they're sort of permanently mounted there.
Okay.
Here we go. So I mean, it's a little fun sort of product. They weren't particularly expensive at the time, and yeah, it's just something that
I bet you can turn around to a lot of MilSim and say, "I bet you haven't got a poo chair."
Probably, but that might just be because they don't know what that is.
Well, there you go then, or a crap strap. I bet they haven't got a crap strap.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's another one.
I want to get a crap strap.
Seating pad. Seating pads are good.
Got one. That's in the bag. Yeah. What did I call it? Is it the mic mat?
There you go.
What is this? What is
That's
that?
the ICU mirror system. So it's literally a set of these two mirrors. Little two mirrors that just mount around the end of your gun barrel.
Right.
So you can peer around corners. Which is completely useless for any other situation because obviously you've now got a mirror on the end of your, super camoed rifle and everything like that. You've got this mirror that's just reflecting light left, right, and centre. That's a fun little product. This one's from BB Guns for Less. It's $4.99.
You'll be working for the crack, surely.
It seems to infer that they've got quantity of stock. So yeah, it's just a fun little.
It looks like a 5-star review there. Was that you, Mike? Did you buy one?
Probably me. Our customers rate us, as that says. So, user reviews.
Imagine if there was a review on there that said, great product, unfortunately haven't been able to put it to the test because the event I went to had no corners.
It was in a lighthouse. I only play at lighthouses. And,
the only event near me was a lighthouse, and I'm screwed basically. It doesn't work. Can I get a refund?
What are those houses in Kent that are around the hop houses?
Oast House.
They used to, Oast House, yeah. I only play Oast Houses and lighthouses. It's a real issue.
Yeah. Very circular, my MilSim style.
That's
quite funny.
Oast House, yeah. Oh, Gavin lives in an Oast House.
Oh,
I
doing? Right.
Don't buy the ICU mirror system going.
Yeah, don't recommend you get that, Gav. You'll literally just be chasing yourself around for fucking ever. He's still there. I can't get away from him.
Another product I would recommend is obviously the kneeling pads or sort of seat pad. You can get a few different variants of those. Highlander do like a little inflatable pad. Mountain Warehouse do like a little foam one. You've obviously got things like the multi-mat and stuff like that. Oh, God.
What happened to the two?
So I'm just reading what Joe said.
Married. Oh, no. I'm waiting for it. Lots of babies.
That was quite good. They had a lot of babies.
Not bad. Did you think of that all by yourself, Joe?
Well done, Joe.
Well done.
That was what happened to the two airsoft enthusiasts that got married. They had a lot of BBs.
Bibbies. Almost babies in a French accent.
Bibbies.
They had a lot of bibbies. Right, stop it now for being silly.
Yeah.
It's a serious question and answer session.
Oh, there was something else I was going to recommend. Oh, yes, Decathlon. They do a little folding fork. All right, so a lot of people use racing spoons and things like that. If you are going to... What's wrong with that? No, genuinely, right?
I thought it was going to be a head torch. I'm not going to lie. When you said Decathlon, I thought, it's going to be head torch or socks.
No, so Decathlon do these little folding forks, which we've talked about a lot before on the show. Well, I have, because I think they're great.
I think Dan's got them, but you have to be very careful you don't get any bean juice in the folding mechanism area.
Oh, in the mechanism, yeah. You do have to be careful with the mechanism, to be fair. But the problem I found is you always, whenever you go to a MilSim, you generally have a racing spoon. So if you're eating ration packs or anything like that, you want a long-handled spoon, which is going to be nice and easy that you can dip into the bag, get stuff out, and you're not going to basically get stuff all over your hands. As shown by Lance, perfect example. Long-handled
on a admin line as well, so I cannot lose it forever.
Nice. Yeah.
Around my neck.
Yeah. You also use it as an emergency knife if you need to, if you want to take out the enemy quietly.
Yeah.
I've spooned you.
Yeah, you can do that. You can certainly prod.
Yeah. So I've just searched folding on Decathlon's website without writing the word fork, and it has absolutely no idea what I'm talking about.
Do you sell folding?
So anyway, basically, we went to a number of events where I always have a racing spoon and everything. That was part of my standard kit. But then we were at events where there might be some additional food, like someone's done a bit of a barbecue, something like that. And having a fork is incredibly handy. So rather than just keep using like the disposable sporks or anything like that you can often get with like the British Army ration packs or anything like that, I thought it'd be really handy to have a really small fork. But obviously a small fork's not ideal because you haven't really got the leverage and stuff. So sort of trying to find something that's collapsible into a nice little small size.
Regarding the racing spoons, apparently the old MRE spoon supplied to the US MREs was the one to go for. I'm talking sort of Gulf War 91, because apparently it's made of a very, very hard plastic that you could melt a hole through the handle to put an admin line on it, or a clip. They were the ones that were very well sought after. Apparently our ones were shit that they used to get in the British ration packs.
So this is the Decathlon. I assume these are available across the world, but these are the Decathlon spoon and fork. It doesn't come with a knife. It's literally just for that. But basically, it's a little depression system, so it folds up. It pretty much.
See, to me, that's just
really
asking
tiny.
to have bean juice and sort of like chicken caught in it and just.
Yeah, but, I mean, you can wash it out. It's not the end of the world.
No, but you just lick it.
It's got a little press button.
Put it away.
It's got a little press button. You can flip it out like a flick knife. I always enjoy doing that when you're ready to eat.
It's the little things, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the little things, especially little things please little minds. Comes with a pouch as well. So you get the spoon. I don't generally tend to use the spoons. I've just got one in my car just if I ever need an emergency spoon. But for £12 for a little spoon and fork, not terrible. So I would recommend that personally. I think that's something that's incredibly useful. That and a mess tin. So if you've got a mess tin, you've got a little fork, you can pretty much, you've got a plate, you can, you've already got a racing spoon for your rat packs and stuff, so you can have soups, you can have, dried food, you can have rice, anything like that.
It just opens up a whole other culinary world. Literally.
Yeah.
Good.
So, how about you? What would you go back to the original question? What would you?
I can't even remember what it was.
Who has?
I said crap strap and a poo chair. That's my answer about an hour ago.
Okay, no, that's fine. It was what's the one thing you would recommend for the MilSim that thinks they own everything?
I'd say, have you got the secret thing for MilSim? And then I wouldn't tell them what it was.
You need the secret thing.
Have you not got the secret thing yet? Oh, you've not been MilSim.
Oh, I've got the secret thing. Have you got?
I know you have.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
But they haven't. And I'm not going to tell them what it is.
No, exactly. Gavin Reed says the Corinthian Observer Plus is a very tactical content.
Sorry, you could so do that, couldn't you? Have you not got the thing? What thing? Mike. He hasn't got the thing.
He hasn't got the thing. Goodness sake.
God,
it's on our
really?
list. So
bro, do you even MilSim? Bro?
MilSim?
Do you? You haven't got the thing? Really?
Whatever. Right. We are coming to the end of the show. We've probably got time for one more quick question if anyone has one. So last chance to throw something in the chat. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so on our email of nofochat@hotmail.com. Our Instagram is @November_Foxtrot_Nofo, and the website is novemberfoxtrot.co.uk. There are a couple of questions that have come in on the website, which I will get back to you shortly. It's just been a bit of a mental few weeks, so please bear with us.
Yes.
But in the meantime, please feel free to keep talking to us and chatting to us. It's always fun. You can also get in touch on our own individual Instagrams of @9volt Airsoft for myself, @the_punish_1_ for Lance, and @callsign_quartermaster for Andy. That's all on Instagram. So yeah, please do get in touch if you want to chat about anything. It's always good to know. Next week we are going to be chatting to the guys from Defiant. We're going to be having the joyous privilege of having Kevin and James. So if you have any questions about any Defiant event coming up, then please feel free to join us for that. We'll be back Wednesday, 8 o'clock. If you want to get the questions in advance, always a good surefire way of making sure they get asked first. But then if you just tag us on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, just ping us a message and let us know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless you've got anything else, Lance, that you want to bring up?
No, I'm all good. All good. Cracking show, cracking questions. Thank you, everybody, very much for partaking.
Cool. James says, "You what? Are we? I hope you are, James. Please, because I already felt bad for rearranging it.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, James. You know damn well you're on next week. Maybe a tosser."
In the meantime, Stephen Whitehead said, "Is this the end? Is the end of the show?"
It is. In the immortal words of Adele, mate, I'm afraid it is.
Yeah. Lance, you have had the privilege of the closing words for a while. Would you like to end the show?
I
with
would.
Words of wisdom?
Yes, I would. Don't buy folding cutlery for Airsoft. Because
prick.
Because...
No, I'm not having that. No. Folding cutlery is really good. That's incorrect information. Fake news.
Fake news. You're fake news.
I'm going to get a Donald Trump button. I'm going to get a Donald Trump button that's like fake news. It's fake news.
You've got it. That'd be brilliant. Yeah. That's something to work on for next week. Oh, there we go. I'm glad that my words of wisdom have created another soundbite for the show.
James, I know that we thought you were on this week, but it was next week. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I hold my hands up. I made a mistake.
We made a mistake.
So, yeah.
We is sorry. So anyhow, yes.
Tariffs and folding cutlery.
There will be.
Price of steel's going up, yeah.
That's it. It's game over, mate. It's game over.
Right. On that note, thanks for joining us. I was going to say thank you, Lance, for joining us, but
you're most welcome.
You're part of the furniture, mate.
I'm here all week.
Right, on that note, we will see you next week. Have an absolutely cracking week. Stay NoFo, ciao, Bella, and all that lovely stuff.
Ciao, Bella.
Say goodbye, Lance.
No.
All right, sorry. Say goodbye, guys.
Goodbye, guys. Stay ciao, Bella. Stay NoFo.
See you later. Have a good one.
Beautiful.
Bye.
Bye-bye.